The following are the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Insertion of advertisement, screening and selection of potential entrepreneurs, which is also very important here. This will actually help the entrepreneur to recollect whatever that has happened in the training. But again, in a 10 marks, we are going to talk about an abridged version altogether. Good morning and welcome to the model question paper solving session in Entrepreneurship Development Program for the 5th semester BCom. And this is a very important session because we are going to see how exactly you are going to go in terms of solving the paper for the coming semester examination. So let's go further and talk about the agenda today. We have the agenda as the blueprint and the exam corner. The blueprint for this examination is something like this. 15 mark questions, you have to write 2, so 15 into 2, 30. 10 mark questions, 3, 10 into 3, 30. So 30 plus 30, you have a 60 mark, and a 5 mark questions of 4, that is 5 into 4, 20. So totally, the paper is for 80 marks. Now, moving on to the exam corner, we are starting right away with the 15 marks question. So this is the question paper that was available to us from the last year. So we have taken some of the questions in terms of discussing about what are the important questions that can likely come in terms of EDP. Starting with the 15 mark question, the first one, define entrepreneur. What are the essential qualities of a successful entrepreneur? Discuss. So this is a composite question. If you just look through the question, they have tried to combine a lot of things here. One, they're talking about a definition, then they're asking you the qualities, and then they're asking you to discuss the entire question. So the answer pattern for this would be something like this. We start with a definition of Peter Drucker, who says entrepreneur is a person who searches for change, responds to it, and exploits the innovation. And that's a specific tool that we are talking about. Now, following are the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. There are about 12 different points that have been mentioned. Even if you are able to mention 10 points out of this 12, this will definitely fetch you a lot of marks there. So starting with willingness to work hard, desire for higher achievements, working on independent factors, good foresight, which means I say vision here, good organizer, is an innovative character, risk-taking factor, secrecy maintenance, good communication skill, which is a very important point, and a person who explores on opportunity, motivator, and this person needs to be highly optimistic. Now, moving further, now the next question that we are going to talk here is briefly explain the phases of Entrepreneurship Development Program. Now, two things that we have to keep in mind before we start answering this question. Point number one, we are talking about the phases, which means to say stage by stage program. And when we talk about the EDP program, that itself is a composite measure. It's a collective program to make the entrepreneurs better. So let's see at the answer. So the first thing that we are going to talk about is the pre-training phase activities, where it is being done at the launch of the program, how the program is first taken into account, how they are into the activities of planning, then designing of the courses that we are talking, exploring and selecting of appropriate faculty for that particular course, insertion of advertisement, screening and selection of potential entrepreneurs, which is also very important here. Followed by the training phase. The main objective here of the phase is to bring desirable change in terms of the behavior of the trainees, the behavioral changes that needs to be measured and monitored through the training program are being, that is the raising of motivation level of the entrepreneurs, developing a goal-directed pattern behavior. So all these factors are very, very important for us. Why? Because these patterns will matter to us a lot. This pattern will tell us how to take things forward in terms of understanding the training, how we have to develop ourselves, how we have to measure the qualities of the training program, the motivation level. Each and every factor will be given, followed by the raising of positive thinking and belief, where we have to make the entrepreneur more innovative, developing a high degree of self-confidence which is needed, a responsibility seeker, providing him all the capabilities that could make him a successful entrepreneur. Now, the another thing is the post-training follow-up phase. This phase is very, very important. Why? Because this will actually help the entrepreneur to recollect whatever that has happened in the training, so that he's able to go back, make a checklist for himself and look into the factors and tell what are all that he has done, review his past performance, compare to the present stage, whether he is able to make a good performance, whether he is able to make an improvement, all can be seen from here. So that's why post-training phase is also important here. Followed by the next question, discuss the role of SIDBI in promoting small-scale industry. Very, very important. Now, in all these slides, you might have seen that answer any two questions, which means to say that you are going to get an option. There's going to be 4 questions, out of which you have to answer 2 questions. So everywhere, I am emphasizing on this part very, very clearly to you that you are getting options in terms of attending the 15-mark question. So you don't have to worry, you don't have to get tense. Take it coolly, take it lightly, in the sense that you have options. Study well, step by step, you will be able to score the marks. So some of the important question again that we are seeing here is the role of SIDBI. Let's have a look into it. When a private bank or institution provides loans or advances to small units for business purposes, the SIDBI will refinance such loans. SIDBI has arrangement with banks, with government bodies, other international agencies, which help them to arrive on a holistic approach in terms of development of the MSME sector. Very, very important. It will also discount or rediscount bills on such private institutions. Now, that is very important. SIDBI offers small-scale units with additional services like leasing, factoring and other factors altogether. So these things are very, very important for all of us. Why? Because these things will tell us where exactly we are standing and how we are going to look forward in terms of development. So this is highly important according to me in terms of understanding the flow, understanding how we are going to write it all together. Now, moving further, I would also like to talk about the assistance of the MSME sector to expand its market for the products in both domestic and international market. It helps the small scale industries to modernize their technology for higher efficiency. Especially it helps organizations such as Mahila Udyog Limited, the National Equity Fund with initial capital, and you can also talk about the financial supports from other organizations. Now you can also give examples here in this question. For example, the Small Scale Industrial Development Corporation, which also provides assistance to the entrepreneurs. It also provides credit. Now SIDBI is also a very, very important bank which helps in the promotion and support of the work altogether. So all these approaches are mandatory in nature. Now, followed by any 2 questions, again, we have the 4th question that is very, very important. Now, this has been several times asked, the SSI and KVIC, how do they help in promotion of the entrepreneurship, especially when we talk about this word called as non-financial assistance. So let's have a look into it. Any assistance which is not in the form of money, we call it as non-financial assistance. Example is training. So this is one very, very important factor that we can talk about. And when we talk about this, Small Industry Services Institute, the Small Industry Services Institute are set up in each state to provide consultancy, training to small and prospective entrepreneurs. The activities of SISI is to coordinate with Industrial Management Training Division, the SSI's office. There are about 28 offices and 30 branches which have been set up in the state capital as well as in other places all over the country. SSI has got a wide range of spectrum of technological, management and administrative tasks to perform. So all those factors are there. Why? Because these are certain institutes which are available in our country, which tries to help people from a non-monetary perspective, which is very important for the entrepreneur in terms of setting up the industry. Followed by what are the functions of SISI to assist the existing and prospective entrepreneurs through technical and managerial counseling that might help in selecting the appropriate machinery and equipment, adoption of recognized standards of testing, quality, performance, etc., conducting of EDPs all over the country, which is there to advise the state and central government on matters relating to small industry development, to assist and testing of raw material products of their respective quality control. All these factors are being discussed about in terms of the SISI. So all these factors will make a difference in terms of making you understand how important these are in terms of building up the entire industry. So definitely this is going to play a very vital role in terms of the functionality. Followed by to provide a market information. That's what we are going to talk about in terms to the SISI, to be recommended for the financial assistance from the institution, to enlist entrepreneurs for partition in government sectors and in purchase program, to conduct economic and technical surveys, prepare themselves in techno-economic feasible reports. So there are many kinds of processes, report functions, orders, structures which comes into picture for the selected areas and which are very, very important for the entrepreneur in terms of development. Now, what is a KVIC scheme? KVIC stands for Khadi Village Industries Commission, which is a very, very important institution. It organizes and implements programs for the development of Khadi and other village industries, especially in the rural areas. Now, we all know that the Khadi generation, the Khadi industry was the dream of the father of our nation. So definitely this sector gets a high priority from the government, and it also provides a lot of employment opportunities for the young entrepreneurs in the rural areas. KVIC also helps up in building up of reserve of raw materials for the supply of the producers. The commission focuses in creation of common service and facilities for the processing of new, that is the raw materials such as the semi-finished goods. KVIC also helps in creation of employment in the Khadi industry. So all these factors are quite interesting for all of us to understand in totality. So this is definitely a very, very important factor that we have to understand in terms of our growth perspective. Now, moving further, some of the major functions of KVIC is to plan, organize training for persons employed or desirous in seeking employment in Khadi and the village industry altogether, to build up the reserves of the raw materials and supply them to persons engaged or likely to be engaged in production of hand-spun yarn, all those factors of Khadi and the textile industry, to encourage and assist them in the creation of common services of facilities and other factors. So this is also very, very important for all of them. Followed by the promotion of sale and marketing for Khadi or products of village industries or handicrafts for the purpose of forging the links, established factors of marketing agencies wherever necessary or feasible, to encourage and promote research and technology used in Khadi village industries, including the use of non-conventional energy, electric power, with the view of increasing productivity, eliminating drudgery, otherwise enhancing the competitive capacity, and to arrange the dissemination. Further, to undertake the directly the agencies that are helping in promotion of the Khadi village industry. With this, we also come to the point of financial assistance that has been provided and any kind of new experimentation taken, pilot projects, which has also been supported by the industry. Now, they also establish and maintain separate organizations for the purpose of carrying out any kind of above matters, encourage cooperative efforts and everything to ensure genuineness and to set up standards of quality and products in terms of the Khadi village industries altogether. Now, with this, we move on to the next section, that is part B, where we are going to answer of 10 marks each. So one of the questions that has been asked repeatedly is explain the functions of entrepreneur. Probably this looks very repeated to you. Why? Because the part B is again an abridged version of part A. So all you need to do is that answer the question appropriately so that you're able to score your 10 marks. Starting with entrepreneurship, as we know, is all about taking up new initiative. These are people who perceive to take upon risk and do it. Entrepreneurship people do lot of multivariate activities. Plus, these are some of the functions which I want you to make a note of it. Taking initiative, organizing resources, identifying opportunities, doing the risk-taking, decision-making, technology transfer, innovation, fostering autonomy, social responsibility, public relations, experience sharing. When we talk about managerial roles, balanced economic development. So you can see a list of operations that an entrepreneur is doing in order to promote it. And these are some of the qualities that are mandatory for an entrepreneur to be successful. Followed by explain the need and role of EDP, a similar kind of question, but then we can talk about factors like employment opportunities, formation of capitals using the EDP, formulation of projects, balanced regional growth. These are some of the subheadings which I would like to talk upon, followed by development of entrepreneurial qualities, which is very, very important, subjected here. Enhancing and organizing managerial abilities, because through which you will be able to develop the managerial skills of the entrepreneurs. So these points have to be highlighted in your answer in order to score more marks. Followed by selection of project, as I am talking here, helps in searching and exploring opportunities. Definitely this is also a very, very important point. Followed by the next question, the role of district industry center. This has been quite repeated. So the district industry center, this is the first time we are going through this, under the Directorate of Industries and Commerce, offers subsidy loan. It was established in the year 1978. It is again a part of the SI and the small scale industries division. They have been able to help and run a lot of entrepreneurship activities. They've been able to support a lot of activities here. So that's why I would always say that this is a very, very important function altogether. They also promote and registration development of industrial cooperatives. So that is very, very important for all of us to know. Why? Because they actually help the industry to grow further, develop and build the sector altogether. Followed by make available of comprehensive information on all matters. And that is very, very important. Schemes of central government, role of financial institution, incentives from state, central government altogether, prepare district industrial service potential factors, facilitate approvals on regulatory agencies. They also facilitate credit linkages between banks and entrepreneurs. They provide a lot of market support. So all these points are important when you write the answer. Followed by self-employment, SIC industries revival, linkages between technical institutes, skill development, which we are talking about, facilitate the research, and we are also talking about the entrepreneurship development program altogether. Now you have some more points like raw material, industrial association, awards and recognition, emphasis on thrust areas, identify and nurture clusters. Now you might ask for a 10 marks. Is it so much that we have to keep on writing? I would say that 10 valid points out of the 16 points can be presented in your paper, written neatly with a good description given for each and every subheading, can definitely help you to fetch those 10 marks. Followed by, we are going to talk about the role of small scale industries. We have seen this in the 15 marks, but again, in a 10 marks, we are going to talk about an abridged version altogether. So again, we are going to talk about the importance of small scale industries, how they are playing an important role in the economic development in terms of reducing the unemployment factors, in terms of providing new roles and scales to the employers, plus the increases in production. You would have seen that, for example, we have given 40 lakhs of every investment for rupees 10 lakhs. So there is a lot of increment in terms of investment. It increases the export. So underline this factor, followed by employment rate. So these are all the key words that you have to keep in your mind. The opening up of new opportunities which SSI is giving you. So these points you have to remember while you are writing the examination. Similarly, it helps in the advances of welfare. So it promotes a lot of welfare within us. And now coming to the 5-mark question, we are going to answer this very, very precisely. Now, for example, mention the factors that stimulate entrepreneurship. A similar kind of question. So some of the factors we are taking back from the economics, the land, labor, capital factor. So definitely capital, labor, market, transport, and geographical factors are one of the most important reasons that stimulate the entrepreneurship. Now, there are political factors, there are geographical factors, there are social factors like religion, language, custom, which is also a part of the entrepreneurial journey. The next one we are talking about is the problems faced by women entrepreneurs. Quite an important question and a repeated question also. Just have a look into it. The first one, we start with the family restriction, which is quite evident in the Indian scenario. The lack of finance, which is now being addressed by many of the government facilities and banks altogether. The lack of education, the role of conflict, unfavorable environment, lack of persistent nature, lack of mental strength. And also, I have given examples here like Kiran Majumdar Shah of Biocon, who initially faced a lot of challenges in terms of starting up her biotechnology company. But later, today, she is an example altogether for many women entrepreneurs who have successfully come up. So like this, you can also bring in examples here in order to emphasize, in order to make your answers look better. Followed by the lack of information, the stiff competition that's available today, and the mobility factors. Why? Because these are all the important factors that we are seeing as a challenge for women entrepreneurship. Followed by the next question, what do you mean by ancillary industries? When I use this word, ancillary industries, that means these are the industries which are allied in nature in terms of entrepreneurship. So that's why we say that which has a fixed investment in plants and machinery that help in terms of promoting, and they do not exceed more than 1 crore. So any of the heavy industry will definitely require support from the ancillary industry, which is quite evident from that. So these are the small industry which help those large industries in terms of promoting. So definitely these industries will play a very, very important role in terms of supporting the business. Followed by the characteristics of ancillary industries are that is it's engaged in manufacture, production of parts, components. It helps in the packaging of services. They have a fixed investment in plant and machinery, not exceeding more than 1 crore. So all these factors are very, very important when we are speaking about the ancillary industries business. Followed by the last question here, when we are going to talk about the types of entrepreneurs here, we are talking about the trading entrepreneurs. These are people who are involved in trading activities. Manufacturing entrepreneurs who get into different types of manufacturing equipment, and the agriculture who are primarily the rural-based entrepreneurs. The technical entrepreneurs who are more into technology, the non-technical who are more into the regular scales of business, more into marketing and sales, followed by the ownership pattern. We talk about private, we talk about state, we talk about the joint entrepreneur. So these are the different kinds of entrepreneur whom you're going to see based on the classification of ownership, technology, and the resources factor. On gender, again, we have the men entrepreneur and the women entrepreneur. So you can expand your answer under these formats and give out the answers in your examination. This will help you to score better. Now, we also have the size, for example, small scale, medium scale, large scale entrepreneurs. So based on the size of the operation, size of the industry also, we can give out these factors. Followed by, we have also given the classification given by a great researcher called as Clarence Danhoff. He's been talking about the innovating entrepreneurs, which is important, imitative entrepreneurs, Fabian entrepreneurs. Now, I want to concentrate on this word. Fabian are those people who are characterized by a great amount of caution. They don't take much of risk at all. Imitative are one who just try to copy the ideas from other entrepreneurs and come up with that. And you also have the drone entrepreneurs, which is a very, very recent term used in entrepreneurship. These are the characteristics by a refusal to adopt an opportunity. They look out for their own kind of things. They have a factor where they go in on a severely reduced in returns in terms of the production that has been followed altogether. So these are, people who are very, very stiff, who don't have much of flexibility in terms of entrepreneurship. With this, we come to the end of the model question paper solving. I hope and believe that all the questions that have been discussed here will be of a great help and resource to you. So in the examination, my simple suggestions to you is that whenever you take a question, first try to understand the question, divide the question into parts, into segments, write it with a relevant example, and then conclude it in a positive manner. Please keep the handwriting as neat as possible. Try to attend all the questions that have been given in the paper and try to set your time accordingly so that you are able to complete the paper and answer the paper for entire 80 marks. With this, I come to the conclusion. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful session. You have a great day ahead and all the best for your examination.